Hey everyone, it's Jack from Cultaholic back again for another big night of WWE action. And honestly, I can't believe that the grandest stage of them all has come around again so very, very soon. That's right, it's time to talk about what happened at WrestleMania Backlash. Just one match to talk about on the Kickoff Show to start things off, but before that, we actually have a backstage confrontation between those dirty dogs, Robert Roode and Dolph Ziggler, and Dominik Mysterio. They intimidate him, they beat him up, and they even trap him underneath a box. We'll see what effect that has on the SmackDown Tag Team title match a little bit later on. Now on to the only match of the Kickoff Show, and it's Sheamus who issues another open challenge, stressing once again that it is not for his United States Championship. That challenge is answered by Ricochet, who comes out in jeans. He's wearing jeans? Does Ricochet do that now? Can anybody let us know in the comments? Is that his new thing? Because they don't really mention it on commentary. I don't know if it was maybe just an attempt to say, look, he's answered the challenge at the last moment. Anyway, they go on to have a pretty good Kickoff Show match. It's very back and forth. It looks like Ricochet might actually have it won at one point when he avoids the brogue kick, but then Sheamus just knocks him in the face with a big boy knee, and that turns Ricochet's lights out. 1, 2, 3, and Sheamus wins the match. Sheamus gets on the mic afterwards and is about to cut a promo about how great he is, but then Ricochet attacks from behind and takes his hat and his jacket and does a little dance. Oh, Sheamus, the disrespect is real, my friend. Sheamus recovers and chases Ricochet away, and honestly, Sheamus, mate, I hope the winner's purse is some comfort to you, my friend, because Ricochet has just absolutely served you. Honestly, I don't know what this was about. Ricochet was beaten clean, and then his music was playing to end the segment as if he'd won, and yeah. Okay. Anyway, on to the main show. The main show kicks off with the Raw Women's Championship triple threat match, with the champion Rhea Ripley defending against both Asuka and, of course, Charlotte Flair. She just can't stay away from title matches. There's a lot of trash talk from Charlotte to both other women early on in this match, and not just any trash talk, but Charlotte Flair trash talk. So a lot of, you'll never beat me, and, you know, she's chewing the scenery a bit, but that's why we love her. Asuka enjoys a period of dominance for a little while, but Charlotte takes control again, knocking both opponents to the outside and hitting the big moonsault. A little while later on, Charlotte hits a double natural selection and tries to do a bit of a Roman Reigns impression, looking to pin both opponents at the same time, but they kick out. She does miss a double moonsault attempt, however, and Rhea and Asuka manage to get her out of the way and trade finisher attempts of their own on each other, but neither can put the other away before Charlotte comes back into the mix. Charlotte and Asuka get into a scuffle. Asuka knocks her off the apron, but backs into Rhea, who scoops her up, drops her with the Riptide, and picks up the win, retaining her championship. Sorry, not the Riptide, as Adnan calls it on commentary, the Riptide, Riptide, Riptide. It was... he's having fun. Rhea taunts Charlotte after the bell, and Charlotte points at her as if she is a WrestleMania sign. Now, this was a good opening match. I think it felt a little bit like it was going through the motions to start off with, but it definitely picked up down the stretch. Charlotte was clearly positioned as the biggest threat of the match that the other two had to team up on, and I was worried that this was maybe going to overshadow Rhea Ripley slightly, you know, the actual champion, but in fairness, she did come out with the win. Next up, we have the Dirty Dogs defending the SmackDown Tag Team titles against Rey and Dominik Mysterio, but of course on the pre-show, we saw Dominik taken out, and before this match, we see Rey backstage with Dominik, determining that you're probably not ready to wrestle tonight. Rey tells him he's got this and heads out there on his own, and starts off the match really hot. He jumps the heels at the bell, he's hitting moves left, right, and center, but of course, the numbers game soon takes control. Rey survives some pretty nice double team moves from his opponents, such as a wheelbarrow famous combo at one point, and also Roode sliding him out of the ring into a mid-air super kick from Ziggler on the outside. Very nice moments there. But Rey makes his comeback and takes both opponents down with a double DDT, but there's nobody to tag, or is there? Because here comes Big Dom, but he looks banged up. Rey doesn't seem happy that a hurt Dominik is out here, but he's hit with a zigzag before he can even think about making the tag. Again though, he somehow kicks out. Rey still doesn't want to tag in Dom, but he gets knocked into the corner and Dominik just tags himself in anyway. He doesn't get much offense in, however, before the champs again take control, taking advantage of the injuries they sustained upon him backstage before the show. Roode says, "You don't belong here," but Dominik proves that he kind of does because he fights them off and makes the tag to his father. Rey then hits a 619 on Roode. He tags Dominik back in and takes care of Ziggler on the outside, and all that's left for Dom to do is head up top, nail a frog splash on Roode, and win the SmackDown Tag Team titles. There's a nice happy promo at the end where Rey and Dominik celebrate and point out that they have become the first father and son SmackDown Tag Team champions. It's a genuinely nice moment, one of those moments that I really wish fans had been there to enjoy as well, but it was still very nice to see. And also a good match, a match that was far longer and had far more of a story than I first imagined. Next up, we head backstage where John Morrison is just, strolling around, and he knocks on a locker room door which is marked Lumberjacks for the upcoming match between Miz and Damien Priest. Right, I can't believe I'm saying this. He opens the door and all of the Lumberjacks are zombies. I guess this is a tie-in with that movie that Batista's starring in. Anyway, we go elsewhere backstage where Jey Uso is alone in Roman's private locker room. Jimmy comes along and starts to tell him, "Come on, we need our own locker room. You need to start standing up for yourself. We can be great again. Why are you so loyal to Roman?" Reigns comes along and doesn't look happy with Jimmy. So Jimmy just says, "Oh, I was just going to wish you good luck for tonight," and then leaves. Obviously still a lot of tension between Jimmy and Roman. Back to Miz and Morrison now. On his way to the ring, Morrison tells Miz about the zombie Lumberjacks, and Miz just doesn't believe him. He writes it off as another of Morrison's weird, new age motivational tactics. Miz, you need to start listening to your friends more. The next match is indeed Miz versus Damien Priest, and sure enough, the Lumberjacks are all zombies. They head to the ringside area, commentary run away, and so does Morrison actually. The referee is incredibly professional, he stays in place, so do Priest and Miz. The ref calls for the bell, and Miz and Priest start having a normal singles match with lockups and everything, just with zombies surrounding the ring. Zombies who clearly know the rules of wrestling because they adhere to Lumberjack rules. The commentary team comes back on the air and informs us they are now commentating from a safe position elsewhere in the arena. Oh, thank goodness. Miz and Priest both head outside and start getting swarmed by the zombies, so they decide not to fight each other for a little while and just start taking out hordes of zombies, which honestly is pretty sensible. One of the zombies is huge, like he's taller than Damien Priest, and no-sells a big right hand from Priest, so Priest has to do a nice step-up kick from the ring steps to take him down. He heads back in the ring, Miz is back in there. Miz wants a high five, like, yeah man, we just survived a zombie attack, but then goes for a sneaky kick down low. Priest catches it and takes control. So Morrison runs back in, this time to cheap shot Priest from the apron, but Miz can only get a near fall, so Morrison just starts taking out the zombies with his sweet parkour skills. The zombies eventually outnumber Morrison and drag him down behind the crowd barrier, presumably to his death. Back in the ring, Priest hits Miz with his finisher and picks up the victory. Priest has won, hooray for him. He leaves as the zombies all crawl into the ring, onto the Miz, and he is presumably now also one of the undead. So, I mean, oh my god, if they turn up on Raw with Miz and Morrison zombies, it's gonna happen, isn't it? Maybe it'll happen. I wouldn't be that surprised. Backstage we go again where Jey Uso confronts Jimmy and says, "Hey, what were you doing, man? Roman's got a big match coming up. He doesn't need any distractions from his family members. Come on now." Jimmy says, "Hey, maybe Roman's locker room should say Roman Reigns and his bitch." And Jimmy walks off and Jey looks angry. Next up, we have the SmackDown Women's title match with Bianca Belair defending her belt against Bayley. Bianca looks very strong early on in this one, and on commentary they're making a big deal about the fact that everything Bayley tries isn't effective against Bianca. Bayley eventually manages to take control, but only by cheating, by grabbing one of Bianca's earrings as she has done on SmackDown previously. Bayley starts running through some offense, she hits a nice elbow drop from the top for a near fall. She also slams Bianca's face into the ring post on the outside, but then Bayley misses misses a terrifying suicide dive because Bianca just sidesteps it and walks out of the way. Credit to Bayley for knowing how to fall correctly there. It's a risky spot, but I guess when you're that good, you can get away with doing it. Pat McAfee refers to Bianca moving aside as Bayley flies past as "Olay," says the young buck. The young buck. I mean, Vince probably had a bit of a heart attack backstage. Back in the ring, Bayley tries for some rope-assisted pinfalls. They don't work. Bianca keeps kicking out, so Bayley just viciously rakes the eyes. Bayley then grabs Bianca's braid and uses it to kind of ripcord her, Okada style, into a Bayley to belly suplex, but again, it only gets 2. But Bayley continues to try and use the hair. This time she goes for a braid-assisted rose plant, but Bianca reverses it, wraps her hair around Bayley's leg, and uses her own hair to assist her own pinfall and picks up the win. And on commentary, Cole goes, "Did Bayley kick out? Stop doing that, Michael." Again, another pretty good match on this show. It helped Bianca look both strong and clever towards the end, and Bayley, as always, was playing the heel very, very well. But I just can't stop thinking about the zombies, to be honest. Next up, we have the WWE Championship match between the champion, Bobby Lashley, and the two challengers, Braun Strowman and Drew McIntyre. And this one was a lot of fun. Drew and Lashley actually team up to take down Strowman early on, dropping him with a huge delayed vertical suplex. But before long, it turns into a normal triple threat setup, and Strowman hits a scary dive off the apron to take out both opponents, almost landing on his head, but thankfully he's okay. Lashley starts to take control with an interesting strategy of being very, 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 very strong, but Strowman takes him out with the ring steps. While he's distracted though, Drew claymores Strowman over the crowd barrier and fights with Lashley up to the stage area. There, Drew throws Lashley behind the LED boards, and there's all kinds of sparks and electricity, but when Drew goes to check what's happened to Lashley, Lashley's nowhere to be seen. Strowman gets back into the match, recovering from that earlier claymore, and he and Drew start having what can only be described as a crazy exchange. There's a Michinoku driver from Drew onto Braun, a very convincing near fall, and Braun powerbombing Drew through the announce table, all within the space of a few moments. Strowman brings Drew back into the ring, but Drew hits the claymore, but before he can take advantage, Lashley comes back in out of nowhere, throws McIntyre out of the ring, and nails the spear on Braun to retain his title. As I said, this was an incredibly fun match, a really good match with just three massive guys absolutely battering each other with very high intensity. It reminded me a little bit of Brock Lesnar's reign a few years ago when he was having those matches against the likes of Strowman, Samoa Joe, Roman Reigns, just multi-man matches with lots of big, scary, powerful guys. It was always a lot of fun, and this match was definitely no exception. And finally, we have the main event, the Universal title match between the champion, Roman Reigns, and the challenger, Cesaro. Before Roman's entrance, Jay is hyping him up in Gorilla, saying, "We've got this, Uso, we got this." And Roman's like, "What do you mean we?" And Jay's like, "Yeah, I'm always in your corner, what if?" And then Roman says, "What do you mean if? You're sounding real negative at the moment. You sound like your brother. In fact, why don't you go off and find him? I don't need you." And Roman just heads out on his own, well, with Paul Heyman, but without the help of Jey Uso. This match has a slower and more tentative start than I think any other match we've seen on this show so far. Cesaro tweaks his arm at one point, being thrown out of the ring, and it allows Roman to slowly, methodically start to grind him down, and that arm injury would play a crucial role later on. Cesaro at one stage avoids a Superman punch and hits the big uppercut to turn the tide, and then hits a big plancha, a beautiful plancha, to the outside, but Roman battles back in, working the weakened arm, and even at one stage looking directly down the camera and addressing Daniel Bryan as he does so. And yeah, Cesaro's arm keeps giving him trouble at crucial moments. At one stage, Roman sets him up for the spear, but Cesaro is able to counter with a big uppercut, but that again hurts his arm and gives Roman a window to clamp on the guillotine. But Cesaro powers up out of nowhere and slams him down. Cesaro gets the sharpshooter locked in, but Roman crawls towards the ropes, so Cesaro rolls him backwards into a crossface. It's a very nice little moment, a bit of hope for Cesaro, but Roman powers out. The champion then beats Cesaro down with some nasty ground and pound, but Cesaro fights back. He's very defiant in this match, so Roman has to kind of dig deep into his arsenal and show off some pretty nifty amateur wrestling skills to get the guillotine applied once again. But again, Cesaro powers up and slams him down, but this time Roman keeps the guillotine clamped on. I think they were meant to keep it clamped on for the entire spot, but at one point Cesaro's head pops out, so Roman has to kind of quickly reach up and grab him back down into the guillotine. But the general effect is there. Cesaro struggles and turns his body and twists, but unfortunately it's not enough. Roman hangs on and Cesaro passes out, meaning that Reigns retains the belt. It certainly told the story of a very brave effort by Cesaro and obviously a very strong performance from Roman as well, and it's another great match on this show to cap off what is possibly WWE's best pay-per-view of 2021 so far. But we're not done yet, because here comes Jey Uso. Jey gets in the ring and he really wants to beat down Cesaro, and Roman says, yeah, by all means, go ahead. So Jey jumps on Cesaro, starts raining down blows, but he is cut off by the music of Seth Rollins. Rollins heads out in what can only be described as a preposterous suit and gets in the ring, and for a brief moment, I thought there was tension between Rollins and Roman. It looks as though Rollins is like staring blankly at him, and I'm thinking, oh my, is Seth going to turn face? He's always had Roman's number. He's beaten him in the past. Instead, Seth just breaks out into a big smile and charges at Cesaro and starts beating him down as well. Rollins wraps a steel chair around Cesaro's injured arm and slams it into the ring post, hits him with the stomp and gets in the ring and poses and looks really happy, and that is the slightly deflating end to the show. I get it. I get why they did it, to kind of remind us all of Cesaro's feud with Rollins and give Rollins and Cesaro something to do, even though Cesaro's just lost the title to Roman. I do understand that, and I appreciate it, because hopefully it means Cesaro will stick around towards the top of the card. On the other hand though, it did feel like a bit of a weird ending to the show. Still, on the whole, I have to say this was a pretty positive pay-per-view from my point of view. I enjoyed the vast majority of it, and then of course there was the zombies. But it's not just my opinion that matters. I want to know what you think as well. Leave your thoughts and comments in that comment section down below. And thank you very much for watching. I've been Jack, of course, from Cultaholic, and stay safe out there, stay positive, and I'll see you very soon.